Frustration starting to settle in. It's the NFL. It's the month of August. Guys are going to be fighting in training camp. Guys, getting ready for preseason games, and it's hot out there. And most people have their money when they show up and looking to earn a roster spot. Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders is not looking to show up and earn a roster spot. He's looking to show up and get paid. He actually stayed away for a day or two from Commanders camp here, got charged $50,000, and then all of a sudden had an ankle injury, decided to show up to camp, but said, make no mistake about it, I'm not here because we're close to a deal. I'm not here because I want to put on a smiley face and say eventually we'll get a deal done. I'm here because I don't want to lose 50 grand and I also have to start rehabbing my ankle. So a couple days go by. We figured that this deal probably would say, we'll give you an extra couple years. We'll give you the money that you want. Maybe not all of it, but something that everybody can be happy with. We haven't seen that now. And now you ratchet up the pressure from McLaurin's side, and he says, you know what? Now I don't even want to be here. If you're not going to negotiate with me in good faith, where so many players in my caliber are getting paid and you want to pay me pennies on the dollar, I'm not happy I went out of town. So let's start with that first here. The trade request now for Terry McLaurin. How real is that? Or is this just a negotiation that says, just make some waves in the press, get the fan base all riled up? This would only help your side here, Joe.
Yeah, so I guess you got to start. I get it with him. He's willing to push the envelope here, Donnie, to get himself a new deal. But he's not really ever come out. We have never really heard what exactly he is looking for, right? Because I think everything is relative here. He's basically just said that he wants to be paid like he's one of the top receivers in the league. All right, that's pretty general, but you've got 9 wide receivers now getting at least $30 million a year. Is he that? DJ Metcalf, what did he just get with the Steelers? I think $33 million a year. So is McLaurin in that count? Is he worth the money? I think is the first question we got to ask ourselves. If you're the Commanders, he's turning 30. He's always been with this team. Are we giving this guy that kind of money? Are we going to get the return, in your opinion? I think that's where you got to start this conversation.
It is, but also understand this too, because when you have a team that made the NFC Championship, you're not looking for any distractions the next season. Now, if I equate it back to my Philadelphia Eagles fandom days in 2004, the Eagles made the Super Bowl. Terrell Owens played on a broken leg. That off season, they wouldn't guarantee him like $5 million for the next season, and he absolutely went ballistic and ruined the 2005 season. So now we see 20 years later. I'm not saying Terry McLaurin's going to do sit-ups and push-ups on his front lawn for a press and have, Drew Rosenhaus show up and be like, next question, next question, next question. But at the same time, this is the time that you have the ability to extend your payroll and overpay because your quarterback, who is a really good quarterback, is on a rookie pay scale number. So if Terry McLaurin wanted an extra $3 million a year, $4 million, meet him in the middle, why aren't we doing this now? That's my question, Joe.
Yeah, well, again, He's at that age, right? That 30. Yeah. This will be his third contract, Donnie, right? With the team.
Yeah.
He's going to be 30, which means a new deal probably won't kick in until he's 31. And we all know what happens, 31 and beyond. You're not getting the same wide receiver. You're paying for a previous production from a younger wide receiver. But once he gets to that 31, you're going to be paying a guy till he's 34 years old. And let's face it, the production might not be there. So I get why the Commanders are hesitant here. But again, didn't Metcalf and him come out at the same time? One guy gets $33 million with Pittsburgh, and we're still trying to figure out McLaurin. They both came out at the same time in 2000. That feels like forever ago.
Yeah, and also McLaurin just a little bit older, I guess, more mature, we should say, coming out of college. But at the same time, like when you are in that bracket of I'm a really good wide receiver and everybody's getting paid around me, why aren't I getting paid? Like you start to get sour on that organization, even though you love that football team and the guys in there. And usually most NFL players, they're not going to pocket watch. They're going to ask Terry McLaurin's, teammates saying, you know what? I just don't think that it's fair that he's holding out. We're in here working. Like nobody's going to say that. They're going to say, get your money, even if it's not with us. That's just the way we work, and we'll certainly support you in the meantime. Same thing with Trey Hendrickson. He's not asking to reset the market. At least we don't think so with the defensive end position. But also what he's saying is, I'm going to make $15 million this year. Guys are making 30 plus here. I'm not saying I need to make that much, but I am underpaid. And that's all Terry McLaurin is saying as well. And the fact of the matter is, offering him in a contract like February and March and no movement whatsoever. March, April, May, June, July, now into August. So I guess the next level up is, I need to ask for a trade because if I'm really unhappy, just get me out of here. Because his agent is fielding calls going, hey, man, I'll swing over to New England. They got exactly what you need. The amount of money you want, it's on the table, which always makes it tough year for us. So Terry McLaurin, I think he gets paid in Washington. He's just upset. I don't think there's any chance that they actually trade him away, and we'll find out what happens. New hour coming up next. Fade the public. Let's ask that question once again. August. Yes, it is August 1st here. This is the early line, bright and early on a Friday morning, ready to kick it off and have some fun. But also, we got questions to ask the people out there. It's Donnie right side. It's Joe Ranieri. Like, we love football. Football was in our eyesight yesterday, and we asked a question that was like, you know what? You guys going to watch this game? You going to tune in first quarter, second quarter, third quarter? How do you feel about it? Will you bet this game? And we got the vibes, Joe Ranieri, that a lot of people really didn't want to watch this game. So before we ask that question, I'm going to ask you this question, Joe Ranieri. Did you feel that the people were sort of saying like, I'm just hate watching this, and I'm going to say no just to say no?
Yes, I did. Let's face it. The public is some folks just don't want to admit, Donnie, that, I caught a little bit of it. I don't want to be that guy that it's July and I'm already into football because my wife will kill me. So, I absolutely think that there's a lot of people that watched even a few minutes of it, but probably will be like, oh, no, I can't watch preseason football. I can't do it.
All right, let's get to the question here. Fade the public. Let's go. All right, the question we asked at SportsGrid, we ask it every single morning, Monday through Friday. We want the public's intel. We want the public's knowledge. Which way are they going here? And do we need to fade the public? So the question asked today was, did you watch any of the NFL Hall of Fame game from last night? Now, before I get to the actual numbers on that, we asked a poll similar to yesterday. Will watch, 32.9%. Will watch and bet, 17.7%. Won't watch was 49% yesterday. So let's reveal the results today. The yes, 37.5%. The no, 62.5%. So what do we make of these statistics here coming out? Is it more people watching? Because will watch was 32 yesterday. Yes was 37.5. But the won't watch was 49.4. This one's 62.5. But we don't have the other caveat, will watch and bet. So what do we make of this here?
Well, whether you watch in bed, watch on a couch, watch on your phone, we still got nearly, 50%, Donnie, yesterday, watching it in some way, shape, or form. And now we're being told here today that the poll tells us that, no, we couldn't even get 40% of the people to watch any of that game. So, I'm not buying it. If you are a football fan, nobody is saying that you pulled up the chair, you sent the kid there, you're like, all right, everyone leave me alone for 3 hours. I'm watching the Hall of Fame. No, but you can't tell me as a football fan that you didn't get just a little bit of a little taste of what is to come here now that the calendar turns to August last night. Because there's also a few other things going on, by the way, this season in the NFL that if you had watched last night, get used to the chain gang is no more. So there are a few things worth watching this preseason in the NFL.
No, and also when we're looking at the game itself, we understand like not really any starters are going to play, but it is the first game. And were they upset that like, I don't watch football, Joe, till it's August because yesterday was July 31st. But for me, I don't like preseason. But I wanted to tune into the telecast. I want to see Mike Tirico. I want to see Collinsworth. I want to see the questions on the sideline to, Dan Campbell. I want to see these guys back in uniform. Now, granted, maybe it's not your favorite team, and you will watch your favorite team a little bit later in the month here as they take on their own preseason games. But I still find it hard to believe that it's a no. And is it just hate watch and saying no at this point? Like I watch, I'm going to say no because I don't like the product. Did the 37.5% watch because they won their bet yesterday? They had the Chargers, they had the over, they had certain props in this game. I still can't believe it's NFL football and it's a no. Like when does that turn over? Like we asked this question to open the season on a Thursday night. The Philadelphia Eagles take on the Dallas Cowboys. What happens there? They're going to have a no there too? Like why was there a no last night? I still can't get over this.
Yeah, well, listen, granted, you have to be in front of a TV. I think anybody that was in front of a TV last night Maybe the better question should be as a second poll question.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you didn't watch the game, what were you watching if you were in front of a TV
Yes.
last night? I'm just curious. Exactly. Was it the Hallmark Channel? Was it reruns of Law and Order? Like, what in the world were you actually watching outside of, I don't know, a couple of minutes of the first NFL preseason game?
You know what I also want to see too? What the actual ratings for that game are, because we'll probably get them over the next
Mhm.
12 to 24 hours to see if people actually did watch him. But it's almost like if we had a network, Joe, that was like A&E. It's like, hey, did you watch the Hall of Fame game last night in the NFL? Like, no. Like, I watch A&E. Like, I want to hear about war stories from World War II or World
Mhm.
War I, and things that are going on. I want to watch a cooking show, if you will, or I'm watching the Home Shopping Network. Of course, I'm not watching it. We are a sports network. The biggest sport
Mhm.
was on yesterday on a day where we had 3 Major League Baseball games. So I love what you're asking, Joe. What did the
Mhm.
people actually watch then? If you told me we had 17 Major League Baseball games yesterday or 16 actual action-packed WNBA games where it was winner moves on, loser goes home, there wasn't anything to do on a Thursday night that we talked about this game for months ahead of time for 62% of sports fans to say they didn't watch. I'm still not buying it. Somebody must have a burner account that has 60 different or 70 different votes just going no. That's what I can
Well,
only, come up with.
I bet you if you're a Detroit Lion fan, you watched, and already this morning,
Yeah.
you are disgusted in so many different ways. And if you're a Chargers fan, if that even exists, then you are
Ah.
without a doubt ecstatic because. I
Yeah.
mean, Taylor Heineke was your backup last year, right? Now Trey
Yep.
Lance comes out there, looks pretty good. That looks a lot better than anything I ever saw with him from the 49ers. That's for sure. Forget about Dallas. I don't even know what that was, but could this be, and you better get to know him, because if anything happens to Mr. Herbert, who always seems to miss a few games here or there every year, could Trey Lance be your backup? And did you see enough from him last night to think you're in good hands?
Now, also, let's get to the other side of this equation, not like yelling about why you people aren't watching this year. The Detroit Lions, it's game number 1 of the preseason. No real starters are playing, but I got to tell you, man, I know the vibes in that locker room from the defensive coordinator and the new offensive coordinator. The
Yep.
game doesn't really matter, but let's look a little fluid. And there's something about getting beat maybe 14-10, 14-6, 14-3 in a preseason game. Hey, just ran through some things, like what I saw out there. 5 turnovers on offense, 7 total points scored, 34 points given up. And as you said to start the show, like, Dan Campbell is a very emotional guy. He understands too, hey, look, I'm the head coach, and that's fine, but I want to get the credit for last year and this year as well. If we don't look good right off the bat, the questions don't say, hey, Dan, what's going on? The questions are, boy, do you miss Ben Johnson? Boy, do you miss Aaron Glenn at this point? Is a leadership void in your locker room there? Because they didn't show up last night. That was the worst case scenario you could have found from the Detroit Lions last night, Joe.
No, and especially since all we heard about in camp,
Yeah.
Donnie, is that these guys were crazy. They were actually hitting each other in shorts. There were fights all over the place. The idea was Detroit was going to come out and they were just going to be. They were ready for blood, and instead, I forgot I got to hold on to the ball. And Dan Campbell sends out a linebacker to return the opening kickoff, and he promptly does what linebackers do because they're not running backs or wide receiver. Yeah, he fumbled the ball, and then that just set the tone for the rest of the night for Detroit. Didn't look like they were hitting anybody last night except themselves.
No, it didn't. And by the way, Kyle Allen and Hendon Hooker, who's battling for that number 2 job? Nobody apparently wants that, because Kyle Allen was throwing picks all over the place in the first half, and
Yep.
Hendon Hooker was 3 of 6 for 18 yards, primarily in the second half. You look at Trey Lance, and you're right. We haven't seen a lot of Trey Lance at the NFL level, but that was a pretty good reintroduction, I should say, to Trey Lance.
Yep.
13 of 20, 120 yards passing, 2 touchdown passes, a passer rating of a 114, did take 1 sack, but that was pretty impressive at that point here.